So Desmond is the one who no longer wanted to be with Kristy and not the other way around. Y'all, I knew the information was going to start coming out, but I did not think it was going to get this muddy this fast.
A golden retriever is still a dog. Listen, I'm going to say the uncomfortable part that a lot of you and probably even Kristy doesn't want to hear. But I'm going to say it anyway, because you need to hear it. Kristy can easily divorce Desmond tomorrow, and she's going to be fine. She's going to get snatched up by another man real quick.
Due to social media harassment, Desmond has come out to explain why him and his wife are getting divorced and if he cheated. And that has some on social media even more mad.
Music is on. You're probably thinking like, oh my God, why would Desmond cheat on Kristy? Jealousy. It was jealous. It's a way for him to humble her. It's not women who are not able to date men that make less than them. It is men who are incapable of swallowing their pride to deal with a woman that is doing better than them. I guarantee you, whatever woman that he cheated on her with made him feel like a man, stroked his ego. He was bigger than her. He was a part of a program, but the other person in the program was bigger than him, and she's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Just look at the fucking numbers. Look at the fucking numbers. Her likes are in the billions. If you go to his page and look at his views versus her page and her views, people are there for her. We just tolerate him. And for years, people have been saying his laughs are fake, his laughs are fake, his laughs are fake. He was definitely faking. He was definitely faking. And that's not to say maybe he didn't like his wife, but he definitely felt away. I think over the years of her just growing, and it's like literally without her, he's nothing, and he's gonna fade into obscurity. So there's that.
I'm gonna give my hot take that nobody asked for. And let me be the first to say I don't indulge in celebrity drama or influencer crap. I'm not that girl. However, this couple does pop up on my For You page. And I watch the guy's stuff because he's a chef and I love food. And that stuff be looking amazing, right? So anyways, I always thought he was a little... And I've questioned the whole time. Like, I'm always like, is this performative? Like, something felt off, right? And I thought maybe she knew and it was like some type of agreement. I don't know. Something felt off. Either way, I'm telling you right now, if it's true that he cheated on her, he cheated with a man. That's why she couldn't reconcile. He cheated with a man.
The internet thought it had this divorce figured out until the story flipped, the timelines unraveled, and the rumors got reckless. Because according to what's now circulating, Desmond wasn't dumped. He wanted out first. And once that detail surfaced, everything people thought they knew about Kristy, the marriage, and who really betrayed whom started to collapse in real time. Allegations of jealousy, secret DMs, an unnamed NBA player, and a confession that only raised more questions have turned this split into one of the messiest social media meltdowns we've seen in years. And the deeper you look, the less clean anyone's hands appear. The biggest shock in this whole situation isn't the divorce itself. It's who allegedly wanted out first. For days, the internet ran with the assumption that Kristy finally walked away, filed the paperwork, and closed the door on her marriage. But then the narrative flipped. According to what's now being circulated, Desmond was the one who wanted the separation long before the filing ever happened. And that single detail instantly changed the entire power dynamic of the story. Because if he was the one trying to leave, then this isn't a woman discarding a man who failed her. It's a man trying to exit a marriage the internet assumed he was lucky to be in. And that's where the confusion, disbelief, and backlash really started. People weren't just shocked, they were offended. Wait, him? Became the dominant reaction. Because in the court of public opinion, Desmond was never positioned as the one with options. Once that idea hit social media, the internet did what it always does. It chose sides fast and loudly. Desmond was dragged almost immediately, with accusations flying that he destroyed his family out of jealousy, insecurity, or ego. Kristy, on the other hand, was widely defended as the clear star of the relationship, the breadwinner, the brand, the reason people tuned in at all. Commenters pointed to the numbers like they were receipts. Her views, her engagement, her deals, her visibility. She wasn't just more popular. She was more profitable. And in that framing, Desmond became the supporting character who couldn't handle standing next to someone outshining him. The backlash skewed hard because people didn't see a balanced partnership. They saw a successful woman and a man who benefited from proximity. That imbalance made it easy for the internet to assign blame before any real details surfaced. From there, the side character theory took off. The idea was simple but brutal. Kristy grew, and Desmond didn't. Or at least, not at the same pace. As her platform expanded, the narrative suggested his relevance shrank, and resentment filled the gap. People began dissecting old videos, pointing out moments where his laughter seemed forced, his reactions muted, his presence tolerated rather than celebrated. The internet decided he wasn't just uncomfortable. He was competing with his own wife and losing. And in that version of the story, cheating wasn't about desire at all. It was about ego repair, a way to feel dominant again, a way to feel chosen, a way to reclaim masculinity in a dynamic where the woman was visibly winning. Whether fair or not, that interpretation stuck because it fit neatly into a storyline people already believed. But just as the narrative seemed settled, it cracked open again, because new rumors started circulating that complicated Kristy's position as the unquestioned victim. Whispers surfaced suggesting she may have been receiving attention, possibly even entertaining it, from men far more famous and wealthy than Desmond. The most persistent rumor pointed to an unidentified NBA player, along with vague claims about industry figures sliding into her DMs as her fame grew. No proof, no names, just speculation amplified by timing and curiosity. And suddenly, the story wasn't so clean anymore. Because if Kristy wasn't entirely innocent, then the emotional math of the marriage changed. The audience was forced to sit with two conflicting ideas at once. A woman thriving publicly and a marriage quietly unraveling behind the scenes. That's where the retaliation theory enters, and where things get truly messy. The claim now floating around is that Desmond allegedly discovered behavior he felt crossed a line, wanted to leave because of it, and was convinced to stay and work things out. If that's true, then the timeline suggests resentment didn't disappear, it just fermented. And when a marriage didn't heal, the story shifts from betrayal to payback. Allegedly, Desmond didn't cheat out of temptation, but out of spite. Not to start something new, but to end something old in the most irreversible way possible. In that framing, cheating becomes a weapon, a point of no return that forces a divorce when conversations and counseling fail. At that moment, this stops being about who messed up first and becomes about who escalated last. Then came the most explosive speculation of all, and the one that needs the most careful handling. As the internet piled on, rumors began circulating that Desmond's alleged infidelity may have involved a man. This has not been confirmed by any party involved, but social media ran with it instantly, pulling from old comments, stereotypes, and long-standing speculation about his demeanor and personality. For some, this rumor became the explanation for everything. Why reconciliation was allegedly off the table, why the divorce moved quickly, why emotions felt final rather than reparable. It was framed online as a non-negotiable betrayal, less about cheating itself and more about what it symbolized. But it's important to say plainly, this remains internet speculation, not established fact. What it does reveal, though, is how quickly audiences will fill in gaps when official answers are limited, and how speculation can become narrative when silence leaves room for interpretation. And at this point in the story, the damage isn't just to a marriage. It's to reputations, perceptions, and the version of events the public may never fully unlearn. As the speculation spiraled and the backlash intensified, Desmond finally stepped in with a public statement, one that was clearly meant to regain control of the narrative, but instead raised even more questions. In his message, he apologized broadly to Kristy, their family, and the public, emphasized his role as a devoted father, and admitted to making choices he wasn't proud of. What stood out wasn't just what he said, but what he didn't. He never named the cheating allegations directly, never clarified timelines, and never addressed the specific rumors dominating social media. Instead, he focused heavily, almost urgently, on one point, that he was the one who wanted to separate first. That insistence didn't land as clarity from many viewers. It landed as strategy. Because when someone goes out of their way to establish who wanted out first, it suggests the real battle isn't about divorce, it's about optics. And rather than softening public opinion, that detail made people wonder what he was trying to get ahead of. Almost immediately, the internet did what it does best. It went back to the archives. Old videos resurfaced. Viral moments were replayed. Jokes that once felt harmless were suddenly treated like evidence. Viewers began rewatching their content with an entirely different lens, scrutinizing tone, body language, and reactions that previously blended into entertainment. Moments where Desmond looked quiet were rebranded as resentment. Moments where Kristy leaned into humor were reframed as disrespect. Even playful bits, teasing, exaggerated annoyance, forced laughter, were reinterpreted as cracks in the foundation rather than content for the algorithm. This rewatch effect became a form of collective hindsight, where people convinced themselves the signs were always there, even if they didn't see them at the time. What makes this stage of the story especially complicated is that none of these reinterpretations can be definitively proven or disproven. They're emotional readings layered on top of curated content. And that's where the narrative starts to shift away from villains and toward fallout. Because at this point, it's clear that both versions of events, the one that paints Kristy as wronged and the one that paints Desmond as pushed, are built on fragments. Court filings tell one story. Public statements tell another. Rumors fill in the rest. And social media, impatient as ever, stitches those pieces together into a conclusion long before all the facts are available. It's not that the internet is malicious. It's that it's uncomfortable with ambiguity. Someone always has to be the hero. Someone always has to be the villain, even when real life is messier than that. And that's why this story doesn't feel finished, because it isn't. Key questions are still unanswered. What actually happened first? What conversations took place behind closed doors? What rumors are rooted in truth? And which ones grew legs simply because silence allowed them to? Until either Kristy or Desmond chooses to speak more plainly, or until more verified information surfaces, the narrative remains unstable. And in stories like this, instability is exactly what keeps people watching. Because the next confirmation, denial, or leak has the power to flip public opinion all over again. And if the internet has proven anything here, it's that certainty is temporary, but speculation spreads fast.